Just have to share a resource with you that I am loving, Design Assist. Design Assist is the design staffing agency built exclusively for your interior design firm. Founded by Reed Humphrey, CEO of Alder and Tweed Design, Design Assist was created as a solution to a real problem that you have in your company. How do you add to your team without overwhelming yourself or your senior designers or without exploding your payroll? The answer: highly trained junior designers with 4-year degrees and a minimum of 4 years of industry experience. These designers seamlessly integrate into your team. They can do CAD, renderings, presentation, sourcing, ordering, project tracking. Design Assist VAs handle the back-end execution so you can focus on clients, creativity, and growth. They're based in the Philippines, available nationwide, and their designers support you for an average of about $12.50 per hour, giving you the capacity to take on more projects, deliver better work, and dramatically increase your profitability. I think I have 4 current chairmen of the boards who have all hired a Design Assist VA, and they're loving it. So if you are ready to stop turning down projects and start scaling with confidence, go to designassist.com/podcast to learn more and book a call. That's Design Assist with a Z. Okay? DEZIGNASSIST.com/podcast. All right? The link will also be in the show notes. I got to tell you, I'm loving this company. Welcome to A Well-Designed Business. My name is Luann Nigara, and I'm so glad you found this podcast. Together with my husband Vince and our partner Bill, we have grown our company Window Works from the ground up. So I know and I understand the challenges you face in running your interior design business. I also know that your talent alone isn't enough to ensure your success. So on this podcast, we talk about strategies and practical steps to help you grow your business. But make no mistake about it, we have our share of fun here too, mixed in with those aha moments that I love so much. This isn't fluff. Nobody has time for that. Whether you are a new interior designer or a seasoned designer, I am here to help you create and to manage the kind of interior design firm that you dream of. It's straight talk and it's action. Are you ready? Let's get started. Hi, welcome to A Well-Designed Business. I have 2 very special ladies with me today. Both of these women are in my Chairman of the Board program. And over the last year, I've had a front row seat to their businesses. I know their wins, I know their pain points, and I know exactly what it took for each of them to get where they are now. These are 2 #smart ladies, and I'm honored to have the opportunity to work with both of them, and I'm very proud of where they are in their businesses today. First, I'll introduce you to Kylie Ponton, Principal and CEO of Ponton Interiors, based in Tampa, Florida. Kylie is NCIDQ certified, an active member of ASID, and her work spans luxury residences, full renovations, new construction, and boutique hospitality projects. She does work nationally and internationally. What sets her apart isn't just what she designs, it's how Kylie and her team run a project. Clients work with her at the highest level. Architects, developers, discerning homeowners all describe the same thing: a firm that is as organized and accountable as it is creative. Every detail documented, every deadline owned. It's amazing. I love watching how Kylie runs her business so well. Kylie and I go back all the way to 2016 when this podcast was just getting started. She is one of those first designers who found the show early and continued to listen as our friendship also continued over these years. And then joining us as well is Corri English. Corri is the founder and principal designer of Music City Interiors, a Nashville-based studio focused on custom homes, renovations, and spaces that feel like they were built specifically for the people who live in them, because they were. Before she launched her design firm, Corri spent years in entertainment as an award-winning actress, singer-songwriter, and voiceover artist. You might know her from Runaway Jury alongside Gene Hackman, Dustin Hoffman, and John Cusack, okay? Or you might know her from the popular shows House or CSI Miami, okay? She also fronted the country rock band Brokedown Cadillac, whose music landed in Desperate Housewives. She's also been on The Mentalist and Disney's Race to Witch Mountain. Every role she played, every song she wrote, it was all about creating the conditions for an emotion. And that's what Corri still does today. The medium just changed. Now, today's show is sponsored by Dezign Assist, and I will tell you, the moment Reed told me about this company, I was in. If you don't know Reed Humphrey, he is the co-founder of Alder and Tweed, one of the largest interior design firms in the nation. And when he said that he uses Dezign Assist designers to support his designers and his projects, I stood up and listened, okay? And I know what it means to have the right support in your business. My own executive assistant, Mariali, is someone that I have told her flat out, if you ever think you're leaving, I am coming with you, okay? This is how much the right person can impact your business in the best possible way. And Dezign Assist is built exactly on that idea. Qualified, trained virtual assistants with 4-year degrees and real-world design experience, all ready to plug right into your interior design firm. Both Corri and Kylie brought on Dezign Assist VAs within weeks of me interviewing Reed about it. I literally was like, here is your salvation. Here is your answer, okay? And what happened next for both of them at completely different stages of their businesses is what we're going to hear about today. Hey, Corri. Hey, Kylie. Thanks so much for joining me on A Well-Designed Business today.
Hey, Luann. It's Corri. I am very happy to be having this conversation with you guys.
Hey, Luann. It's Kylie. I am super excited to finally be on your podcast after all these years.
I know. It's a little silly. And you know what? You've been very gracious not bringing that up to me. You know, Corri, I don't know if you know this, but Kylie and I go back to 2016 when the podcast started.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah. So Kylie, I always say there's this group of probably 8 to 15 designers that from the beginning were just, making themselves known, right? Like a little message on Facebook or Instagram or an email. And Kylie is one of those. And I remember when I did my very first keynote speaking presentation ever, it happened to be in Tampa, and it was the window covering expo. It wasn't like a designer quote unquote event. It's evolved very much now to have content for designers, but then it really didn't. And Kylie's like, I live right here in Tampa, right? And she's like, I'm not coming to this conference, but could you come outside so I could just say hi? And I was like, yes, of course.
Yes,
I love that. So you're OG. This is awesome. I love that.
Yeah,
100%.
So it was fun and it was good. And so, okay. And it's a little crazy because you certainly are a smart lady there, Kylie, and you've earned your spot here easily. But the last year, while I've been coaching the two of you ladies, I've learned that you're both smart ladies and you both earn a spot here.
I was like, if I might not get there today. We'll see if I get the hashtag today or not.
No, you both get it. You both get it. So, all right. So here's the thing. We'll obviously talk a little bit about your business, right? We'll bring out different things about your business throughout the conversation. But why the main reason that we're here today is because we have Dezign Assist as a sponsor of the show. I immediately, when Reed told me about Dezign Assist, I was just like, this feels like a slam dunk to me. Like my executive assistant, Mariali, I swear to God, like I've said to her multiple times, if you ever think you're leaving, I'm so sorry. I am coming with you wherever you go. You know what I'm saying? So I know that a really good VA can be that valuable person in your business. The fact that Mariali lives in Venezuela doesn't get in our way one bit, except for the personal. At this point, it's like, no, I want you to be here. When we have a Luann Live or we have a Power Talk Friday, me and Diana are like, wish you could be here, right? And so I love the idea of Dezign Assist right off the bat. You guys are both in my Chairman of the Board program this year, and you are both at completely different stages of your business. And you both did, within a couple of weeks of that show airing, look into, like, I was like, I think this could help you. And you've both put a Dezign Assist VA in your business. And so my question for you guys is, you know, before, like you both had different pain points. So tell me about the pain point that we were trying to get addressed with a design assist. So Kylie, why don't you go first? You have, 15 years, 20 years as an interior designer, X amount of years of your own firm, and your pain point was different. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so I think our biggest pain point at the time was just a feeling not just of overwhelm for me, but for a lot of my staff members. Like we felt like we have a lot of work. They're all really exciting projects. We don't want to say no to them, but we're really drowning in some of the details here, and we don't want to start dropping balls or feeling like we're not performing to the level that we expect ourselves to perform at. And so we kind of had this really challenging season of, do we add another full-time employee? Do we shuffle the desks around? Do we make more space? Do we add on like all of that, expense and management and onboarding? And then it was a time of year where I think it was, coming up to the holidays. So that just gets so crazy. And you're thinking, how can I onboard someone right now? We have photo shoots, we have holidays, we have, the office shutting down for a week and a half. And so it just felt very complicated. And so for us, the idea of bringing on like a brand new in-person human just felt like crazy at that time of the year and at that point in the projects. And so, Luann, when you brought up Design Assist, I was like, okay, this is interesting. And immediately you and I hung up and I listened to the episode and I called them that day. So it was instantly made sense.
Yes. Well, and because from your perspective, all the things you just said, you've got a firm that's up and running. Now, all of a sudden, it's getting flexed a little because we've got maybe one project more than we would particularly like to have at the same time, because your projects are multiple $1 million projects. We're not talking about another guest room or one more, powder bath, right? But at the same time, everything you said was true at the time. And also, what if the pipeline in 6 months is back to normal, which your team is handling? And I think another nuance of it, if I remember correctly, was if we could get someone outside who's qualified, and let's remember that the design assists either come with a 4-year degree in design or architecture and 4 years of experience on the ground training before they can enter the design assist VA program. So I think another aspect that I remember was, and if we can, it's almost like what we always talk about, like the $10 an hour jobs versus the 100 versus the 1,000 versus the 10,000. If we could get someone qualified to come in and handle the $10 hour jobs, whether it's off your plate or your lead designer's plate or your junior, then that just gave your in-person team more bandwidth for the higher touch level activities with the consumer and the trades and everything, right?
Yeah, definitely. I think one of the things I was even concerned about was like, well, how does that person interact like with our clients? Like, what does that look like? And honestly, like right now, the way that we have it structured, they don't have direct interaction with our client. Now they could, but the hole that we were looking to fill didn't really need that. And so it seemed just like such an easy win-win, to your point. Like we could bring on the person, and I'm sure we'll dive into this later, but we bought that person on part-time for 20 hours a week. And then, 2 months later, I was like, can we have another one, please? And they were like, well, your person might want to do 40 hours. I was like, you're kidding. That's amazing. So
Yeah. I remember that. I said that to you. I was like, wait a minute. Do you not want the same one for the other hours? Might be available. You know what I mean? So so that's good. All right. Now we're going to go back and dig into it. But Corri, set the stage for us. What were you feeling in your business? And what was the moment I said to you, hey girl, how about this?
Well, I don't know if the founders of Design Assist realized that I manifested the whole company, but it sort of feels that way because, Luann, you and I had just started working together. My company was, 6, 8 months old, a baby, and my pain point was having a great deal of opportunity early on, which I'm so grateful for, but very quickly hitting a capacity ceiling because I was doing everything. Wearing every single hat and because I thought I would have this time where I have these couple projects and I'm going to build the business now. No, okay. I'm building the business on the weekends when I have a minute of not working, on every single project.
Yeah.
And so I started to realize I need help. I sent you a Voxer. I'm like, I can't, I have these great opportunities. I think it would be dumb to say no to these. They're huge. And I know that I'm a capable designer. I know that I'm capable of crushing these opportunities, but there's only one of me.
Yeah.
And there's just no way I can keep up with the workload if I take on more, because one of two things is going to happen. Either the work is going to suffer, to your point, Kylie. I'm going to drive myself into the ground trying to keep up, maybe a little bit of both, or I just have to, maybe there's a third. I just would have to stop saying yes. And I didn't feel like I wanted to do that so early in my company's life and journey. Yeah. So I Voxered you. You got right back to me. You're like, listen to this week's podcast. And I did the same thing Kylie did, where I immediately got on the website, immediately booked a call. I think I hired someone within a week and a half.
Yeah, pretty quick. You had somebody. Yeah, I remember that. Okay, so now the question begs, as the two different types of businesses, the mature, experienced business with documented process and systems and a track record of how we do things, and you, Corri, that's still like building the train while it's running down the track. And it is crazy. It's funny because I remember when all of us were at Power Talk Friday last October, the three of us and the other 20 so designers that were there. Somebody said to me afterwards, I'm literally thrilled for Corri, but I'm sorry. How is she in business 7 months and she has all this business? Like, what is going on, right? And I just want to say, I think that you will probably have a nuance of a nuance of the same answer, I mean to say. But for me, outside looking in, we're bringing our transferable skills, our Erica Ward transferable skills. You're not like 22 and it's your first thing. And yes, at 22, you can start a business, all power to you, but it's not likely to take off the way your business did, right? But so you're bringing your transferable skills with, X amount of years, 10, 15 years in the business world. What I also think is an interesting thing that, Corri mentions a lot in our conversations, Kylie, is the rejection doesn't bother her. Like if she does a thing, but this is because she's been an actress and a songwriter, for 15 years. So
that's
she's like,
an amazing skill set.
Yeah. She's just like, I'm sorry. It's 9 no's for the yes. Like we just keep it rolling. And so she doesn't get wounded by the no. And I also think that there's something in that nuance that you're just like, keep going, keep going, keep going. Oh, we landed one. Keep going, landed one. There's no like, the next one will come along. So I think there's a headset from that actress and songwriting career that is just that grit. Like you don't know where the next thing is happening and you got to dig it out. Right. And then of course, the third part, I think of your past career that has contributed to the career taking up the company taking off so nicely is the network and the contacts from the producers and the agents and the country singers and all of the things. And so not that it's like every client ever, but if there's one that gives you 3 referrals in your first 18 months in business, you know what I mean? So I just wanted to say, because people are going to say to me, how did she do it so fast?
Yeah. And I also, coming from a background in entertainment, you are taught to say yes. Yes, I can do that. Yeah. So I am a skill collector. I will figure it out. I once did a movie with Sybil Shepherd, and it was she and I was a piano player, right? And she was my roommate. So it was like this, she's going back to college situation. And I go to the audition, and they're like, great, we love you. Can you play piano? And I'm like, I'm thinking I can play chopsticks.
But
what did I say? I'm like, yeah. And so then I got the role, and they're like, so you're going to be playing a Chopin piece.
Oh, shoot.
I'm like, cool. Yeah, okay. So, yeah, it's great. No big.
We start filming what, Sunday?
Yeah. And so I learned 16 bars. And I had a little keyboard and I practiced. And then, of course, I get on set and they're like, why don't we just have you play the whole thing? And if, so it's just a lot of.
Why don't I just play it twice in a row and maybe you won't know?
Yeah. So like a lot of like me leaning back, looking like I'm like, just don't put the camera on my hands. We'll be fine. So there's just a lot of that where it's just a built-in grit. And so I think early on it helped me because when I don't know something, I will know more about it than anyone the next day. And I'm determined to do that. And so I think that work ethic has really helped me because there's always something new. I'm still in that space where I'm like, haven't done this yet.
Right. I know. You're like 18 months in business at this point. Okay. So knowing now we've set the stage of the two different businesses and the maturity level and all of that. So Kylie, when you come and you get your new design assist and you on board, I imagine you've got a pretty solid onboarding process. There's training protocols, there's SOPs hiding in different folders and documents and spreadsheets. But get us boots on the ground on what was the onboarding like, and would you say was it 2 weeks, 4 weeks? How long was it? And it probably was sooner because in 2 months you're ready to add the hours. But what really was from hi, meet your new coworker, this VA from Design Assist, to just fire the stuff over to the VA, we're good?
Yeah.
What was that like?
I mean, it was very fast and I felt very blessed with the match that they made for us. So the way it played out is my office closes for like a week and a half over Christmas, New Year's. And so I told my team like, hey, Luann had this crazy idea. We're going to try this. We're going to try this. We're going to try this VI out because I can get buy-in if I said Luann said to do it, So we're going to try it out, and I'm going to onboard him and trial things out over the break while you guys are all gone. And we're going to I'm going to get him up going. We're going to see personality, kind of see how things fit, communication style. And honestly, probably most of them were like, well, that's a terrible idea because we know all the onboarding process. Like, we know where all the secret SOPs are hidden in all the folders.
Yeah. That's the whole vacation. What's the passwords?
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, it actually was a really nice kind of way to realize that we did have everything really documented. And so, we've really been working hard on that the past several years on every single process being documented, every single place having its item in Basecamp where you can find it easily. And so, it really went very quickly because we had our onboarding employee document, which kind of is like, show them all of these files and it's a checklist and it's ready to go, and then we have our employee manual that has links to every single other document that anyone needs. So, we had probably 3 2-hour meetings every morning at like 7 a.m. for a week. We would meet for like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Then by Thursday, Friday, I was probably off doing stuff with my family. And I felt like because that first part we onboarded for like 20 hours a week, it was, like 4 or 5 hours a day. So there was just like this good crossover where I felt like I didn't have to sit down with someone side by side with them all day long, every day for 2 weeks. Like I would have the Zoom call. We'd kind of go through the day. And then, I would leave Nathan to kind of go through the things and come back to me the next day with questions. And really by the time the whole team came back after January 1st, he was already up and running and working in projects.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And the thing about that is, I'm hearing my cousin Eileen Hahn in my head, who is a leadership and a behavioral expert, right? Consultant, organizational expert, consultant. And what she has said over and over again, and we have multiple podcast interviews about the proper way, the care, like I call it the care and feeding of a new employee, right? It is that, she is a huge proponent of, regardless of what your official onboarding process is, especially in a company of your size, Kylie, is that the owner spend a good amount of quality time in those first 2 weeks. Like, she wants you to welcome them in. I'm talking about an in-person employee now. Welcome them in, walk them around the office yourself, not have the admin do it. Let them go do a little. You set them up with a little training, a little SOP manual or whatever it is. You take them to lunch. You get to know them. And so in your own way, you did exactly that. And it served both the company and Nathan, because Nathan really got to know you during that period of time. And so now he might interact with you, 20 minutes over the course of a 3-week period, but it's not like, well, who's Kylie and why do I care about her? So I guarantee you, he's got the buy-in of, I'm working for somebody I respect and I care about. And that's that extra nudge when an employee gives the extra percent, right? Like, why does this matter? It attaches to, this is a person I respect and I feel proud to be part of this company. And that is one of the challenges of bigger companies, because the people below them are the ones that are actually going to work with them, are the ones that are actually typically training them and all of the things. And the owner, because I see it with WindowWorks, it's a challenge. It's like, no, go in and sit down, go have a little chat. And I'm like, my brain's frying. I'm like, I got 60,000 things to do, but it does give you a better outcome. So I love that you did that. And that is the value. We say to people all the time, document your process and systems, because it makes everything easier. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Corri, my love, you were not quite in this position.
Not quite. Not quite.
But, the thing about you is you are very process driven. And you were already working on documenting your process. This is one of the things that you didn't just say, okay, in year 3, I'll finally stop the train and write the crap down. You have been doing it from the beginning. You've been listening to show. You've got me in your ear going, how do you do it? And then, of course, I was giving you the extra advice of have him document it, have her document it. Like, if you word vomit to them, fine. But then part of their training is they go create the ClickUp or the Airbase or the Basecamp for it. So I know we have a bump in the road with yours, but just talk about the beginning of the onboarding first, and then we'll get to the bump.
Yeah, I mean, I was in a completely different place than Kylie, and she has still goals for me.
Yes, of course.
I'm like, oh, I want to be Kylie. But I was, in the beginning, it's like, what are these magical, mythical SOPs? How do you even do that? It felt so intimidating I'm like, it's just me. I don't know. I just do it how I do it. And it was actually Eileen who said to me, here's what you do. Anytime you do something, just write down how you do it.
Yeah.
I was like,
or
that
note
is so
how
simple.
You do it. Right.
Put it in
make
AI.
a video. Yes.
Yeah. It's really so much simpler than I think it feels when you hear experienced business owners talk about SOPs, systems and processes. Like, I know I need this. I don't really know what it is.
Yeah.
What is that again? And so that's how I felt when I first started. Fortunately, by the time I was hiring, I would call it now like a skeleton of what it currently is.
Yep.
But I had documented, how we work, mission, vision, values, some of the processes, here's how we do a discovery call. And I'm like, by we, I mean me.
Yep.
And so, but the problem was it was a lot of the standards were not streamlined.
Right.
Because I was still figuring out my standards. And I would venture to say that anyone early in this process of trying to develop this documentation, that it's okay if it completely changes.
Oh,
like in this first year and a half, I'm just always, always, always updating. And I think that will happen less, but I'm hopeful that it will always happen because it means that we are still growing, changing, evolving, etc.
Yeah.
But in the beginning, I mean, it was just like, oh, never mind.
Yeah.
That's a terrible way to do this.
Did I write that yesterday? That's dumb.
Yeah. Who said that?
Yeah.
And so when I was onboarding, it was a lot of me physically telling him in a meeting what needed to happen, what the standards are, what the deliverables need to look like, which is a huge time suck.
Yeah.
Because then he didn't necessarily have the documentation to reference back to when he's getting into the thick of it. And so I don't think that was terribly efficient. And I'm no longer operating like that. But honestly, it was much simpler than I thought to get him into, I had never, like, it sounds so simple, but I'd never created an email for an employee.
Right.
Like, oh, let's go figure out getting my email changed from Outlook to Google Workspace and then getting everything, just streamlining things so that they worked for someone other than me and that we could all see things, that we all had the proper access. So a lot of it was just those little tech stack things, the logistics that I was figuring out that I think you have to do once.
Yeah.
You just have to.
Yeah.
And then documenting what I did so that I didn't have to do it forever.
Exactly. But meanwhile, while you're in the weeds with, all of that, you're also, because it's a 4-year degree with experience professional, you're also able to say, and by the way, the last 2 hours of today, I want you to create these CAD drawings, or I want you to go, do these whatever, blah, 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 that the designers do, right? Like you could get give tasks off the plate too, which was what you also needed. So the idea of what we're describing here is I had a firsthand, a front row seat to a streamlined, mature business. Like in a week and a half, we're giving off project work, and another business, which is like, okay, today we decide how I do a thing. And then this afternoon, you're going to do the thing. And then on tomorrow morning, we're going to see if we did the thing the right way, but we got the thing done and we're going to do it better the next time. But like, it was still valuable because you still could take that project because you knew you could, even if you had to. I remember thinking to myself, even if you had to not have anything done in process, it could get done because this person was experienced. And it might be not done the way you would have done it, but it could have gotten done. And if the only thing you had to do was zhuzh it to your way. So it felt like a win for me.
It was immediately taking work off my plate.
Yeah.
Really, really quickly. I mean, when you don't have anyone to do anything other than yourself, anything is helpful, especially when you have someone who can like do elevations better than you can.
Right.
I mean, that's really the value here is that you can find someone who is trained to do something in a way that maybe is not your own wheelhouse.
Right.
So let's find somebody who can do it as good or better. And that really is what is offered here. It's like you can so quickly give the directive and have a VA on their feet and actually working on projects.
Exactly. And I remember the one caveat I had with you. I don't know if you remember it. You were like, okay, I interviewed this person. I think he's going to be great. And I'm blah, 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 blah. I'm like, I'm going to do it. I'm like, he's a degreed architect and blah, blah. And I remember the one caveat because I didn't know it because I hadn't worked with Design Assist long enough to know. I said, the only thing I want to know for sure is, will this VA with the 4-year architecture degree and this body of experience, will this VA do the $10 an hour job? I need you to just go in and find the email from Bob the Builder and call them and say, or Vaxer, email them and say, I need to change the meeting. Like, I just wanted to make sure that the VA wasn't going to be like if you were literally a US-based professional, you'd be strolling in with this kind of credibility and credentials and being like a $70 hour employee and being like, yeah, I'm here to do your elevations and your specifications, not to answer your phone. Right. And so you were like, no, they understand. It's at your beck and call, whatever you need. And so for a smaller, newer business like yours, you need all the things. For Kylie, she can put that professional in their professional lane and set them out to do their work. Okay. Now, we did have a bump. I don't know if, Kylie, you know about the bump that Corri had.
Yeah, we talked about it.
Okay, yeah. So we did have a bump, and we had a period of time where I'm now starting to get the Voxers from you, Corri, and you're like, and you do what all of us do. You're like, is it my fault? You're like, keeps making mistakes. And, I get that I'm not completely process driven yet, and I get that everything isn't documented, but it's whatever it was. I don't know if it was once a day, twice a week. Once I get the third Voxer on the same problem, I'm like, okay, we have to fix this thing because this is silly, right? And I remember there was a moment that you were able to enunciate the type of mistake. And that was when I was like, nope, we're throwing this fish back. And if I remember the example, you were like, look, it's not doing the drawing properly or not doing the drawing the way I do it. But it's like I'm going to make a path that might not be accurate, but like when you do a drawing and we do a revision to the drawing, I remember hearing you say that change has to be brought to like 4 other places. And you're like, and I keep saying, the change has to be brought to all 4 places, but then I'm finding it only brought to 1 or to 2 or to 3 or to none. And you're just like, what am I doing if I'm checking everything? And I was like, oh no, see, that's a simple directive. That is a simple directive. And if that's not going to be, if you can't count on that, and I was like, you got to throw the fish back and you got to go to Design Assist and say, not good enough. And great person, great, personality, but maybe needs a different position, a position where he only does the technical drawings and then somebody on a big team like Kylie's takes the ball and runs it all the different places. And you know what? have a great career over there, but not here. And so you went to Design Assist and said, help, right?
Yeah, and I'm such a loyalist. It's very hard for me to do that. I tried for probably too long to
Yeah.
make it work.
Yep.
But really, the short of it is it wasn't the right fit. I needed someone taking ownership of tasks rather than sort of taking a task and not.
Yeah.
Yeah, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because in other big businesses, there might be somebody else overseeing all that. Or, it's funny because the example that I thought of when I was working with you on this, my son-in-law, JC, runs Window Works now, right? He's a managing partner. And the first year he came to work for us, Vinny and I still own the company for like the first 3 or 4 years he worked here. But the first year he came to work for us, he comes from an extremely high-level selling background. He comes into a brand new product, this is why I tell you, a salesperson can sell you anything, doesn't know the product, comes into a highly complicated product, which is awning structures. He comes in the first year when our salespeople, Vinny and our other salesperson, were averaging $1 million a year. In his first year, and Vinny's been doing it at this point 35 years, the other salesperson has been doing it 15. In his first year alone, he does 1.6 million. Okay.
Wow.
In a brand new product and selling $200,000 and $300,000 projects to hospitality places. And we're like, oh my God, can we even install these things? But I'm going to tell you what, and this is not talking behind his back. He'll tell you the same thing. He had so many mistakes because his previous selling jobs, he sold it, turned the order in, and moved on to the next prospect. He didn't do final measurements. He didn't do work orders. He didn't do change orders. He didn't do quality control on it. He just sold it, and the rest just happened by magic behind him. That's not how it works at Window Works. And so for him, it was a huge change. Like, oh, I got to do all the hard stuff afterwards. I'm just good at the stuff up front. And now he's exceptional at both sides of it. But that's the point. It was like, this person could be good at what they are, but they're not good for what you need. You need somebody to own it.
Exactly. I felt like I had help, but not support.
Yes.
If that makes sense. And I really just needed the trust. I needed the trust piece because I needed to rely heavily on this person. And there's so many details that have to live in our head at all. There's the workload and then there's the mental load.
Right.
And the mental load is, if I'm running 12 projects and I only have one person helping me and the number of details that go into each one of those full scale new build projects. And then you realize that details are missed here and here, then all of a sudden it's panic.
Yeah.
And it's stress. And really where I felt Design Assist shine was when I needed that support, right? When I needed to find the right support and realizing the depth of the support that they can offer. Because, and I don't know if you want me to go into all of this, but I rehired.
Yep.
Loved the person that I hired. I was like, slam dunk, let's go. I had a call with Luann and I'm like, I feel such relief. This is amazing. I didn't know it could be this way.
Yep.
And I don't know if this is a unicorn or should have been my expectation all along. But all of a sudden, I just felt such relief. That was a Friday. Monday, it's Monday of week 3. So we've just gotten like the machine going.
Everything going.
And yeah. And she lets me know that her previous employer has come to her with an offer that she cannot refuse to continue working with the team she was working with for 3 years. She has a deep history, all of these things. And I was like, rug pulled. But here was the great thing. Is that this can happen to anybody, us at any point.
Whether we hire local or VA or anything else, right?
Exactly. I email the Design Assist team. Within 30 minutes, I have 3 candidates. I interviewed them. This was on a Monday. I interviewed them on a Tuesday and onboarded someone new on a Thursday. That's crazy. Of the 3 that they offered, 2 I thought were a great fit. And now I have been working with this new VA. She's crushing. She's great. And it's like, oh, that wasn't a unicorn. That was support.
Yeah.
Right. And what that made me do though is self-reflect so much. Like is it me? And it wasn't. Maybe it was a little bit. In terms of all this, crazy transitional stuff. But what I did was continue beefing up my systems.
Right.
By the time I was hiring the second time, I had a whole onboarding folder. I had standards, examples, deliverables, in addition to the manual and all of those things. And are they still all fluid? Of course. But it was like, oh, you know what you can do today?
Yeah.
Check out the manual.
Yeah.
Here's the folder. And I was like, and so it really pushed me. I feel like it was tough to go through, but I learned so much in the process, and I learned really how to lead in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
And then I felt this massive relief that, I had someone great, but now here's someone else great. And if the rug does get pulled again, I have this resource.
Yeah,
it's incredible.
Yeah. And I would have to say that when I think back of those conversations, basically, I guess it was the first part of the year this was going on, is for me, I feel like my input to you was that clarity. No. Don't make excuses. This is not a you thing. An employee has a job description and they can do it or not do it. If you look in the mirror and know that you're giving the training and the support and you can check that box, now you are okay to have an expectation of it being completed at your level of quality. And if it's not, and it's not a training problem, and you can't find looking in the mirror, then it is just a fit problem. It's not a bad person, a good hire, a bad hire. It's this person isn't the right butt in the right seat, and there's others out there. And that's where I was just like very logical with you. I was like, no, get out of the emotions, Cor. Get out of the loyalty. I love that you're loyal. Be loyal to me, be loyal to your kids, be loyal to your dog, to your husband, all the things. But no, this is business.
That's where you got me with the kids. You got me with the kids. We're like, you are stealing time from your children. I'm like, right. You're right. But you were right. I was so intimidated by the amount of work it would take to onboard someone else. Yeah. And I'm like, he's already in my system, right? Like,
but he's not doing it right. Who cares?
Yeah, but the amount of time in the long term wasn't worth it. And he's going to be so great on someone else's team. I can't say that enough. And the fact that with the way this company works is he will go into their pool and be the right fit for somebody else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, Corri, I know the seasoned designers are sitting here thinking, wait, tell me exactly what, within a week of a vacation of having, 4 3-hour sessions with you, was this person doing? Because that's what the seasoned designers are wondering. What actual tasks, what does a day look like for Nathan? It's because like you said, within 2 months, you're like, give me another 80 hours.
Right.
And so tell us about the job description for Nathan and the work, the daily work. So another seasoned designer can picture it for themselves.
Yes. I mean, we kind of have a similar setup, I think, to a lot of firms our size, where we'll have myself and then we have design teams. And then the design team usually has a lead designer who has, 1 or 2 signature projects and then other projects that they're working on at any given time. And they have a junior designer who's assisting them. And so we were in this transition phase where we'd had a junior designer kind of bouncing between teams, and that wasn't enough anymore. And so the position that we were hiring for was another junior designer. And so, we took our junior designer job description that we'd utilized in the past, and we kind of tweaked it a little bit for, a remote role. And that's what we posted and provided to Design Assist. And so the candidates that they were giving back to us had those capabilities. They had the experience in AutoCAD, they had detailed drawing sets. And I'd say that's like a really important part that we were super focused on, because we present our drawing documents like full scale interior construction documents, and they're stylized very much like an architecture set. So they're intense, and they have a lot of layers, and they have, we're very proud of the way that we do our drawings. And so we wanted to make sure if we have someone coming onto our team, will they be able to produce documents like this?
Yes.
And so that was something that right away we wanted to make sure that was a highlight for what we wanted the designer to be able to provide. But down the road, we also wanted them to be able to be involved in, potentially product selections, design details, renderings. some selections, like really just anything that a junior designer would do except physically like putting materials back in our studio, you know?
Right,
And
right.
so right away, like our need was strongest in the AutoCAD department and some drawing sets that we needed to be updating. So that's where we put Nathan at first. And I'd say like that's kind of honestly where he got stuck for a little while, because we had like a pretty big backload of things that we were just like, we need these drawings updated. We have this construction set coming up. We're moving into a new construction set of drawings on another project. And so in the beginning, he was just working on a couple of projects that I'm kind of leading. And then very quickly, we found team members having a need. And I'd be like, okay, we'll hand over that set and see if he can fill in, you know, that particular part of the drawing. And what's interesting about our firm and the way we operate in drawings like that is every single one of our designers, including myself, are in CAD in the drawings like every day. And so we have a very structured system where, you know, if someone's working on, you know, one set of drawings, maybe like it's a whole house and the design team's working on like family room and elevations and kitchen, like we could give him bathroom drawings to be working on. And so I mean, it was a very cool process, because I'll sketch out things in Bluebeam or CAD, like electronically, but I will straight up write on the back of a napkin as well and be like, I want the elevation to look like this. And so
Yeah.
I was finding that I could feed him all different kinds of information. But because we had our architectural AutoCAD standards, they were all coming back in the proper format. And so that was what we really have had Nathan working on like for the past couple months. And then we did have an opportunity when some of the CAD work finally slowed down to work into some of the design work. And my concern was, you know, like he's remote, we've never met in person, but we're all really like enjoying working with Nathan. And so we want to make him feel part of the team and that he's not just like a CAD, you know, like,
Just this outside person, right?
yeah. And I think like he had expressed interest and excitement in starting to be involved in some of the other components of like the design that we do. And so we had him doing like some selections, and that was probably a steeper learning curve than the CAD, because obviously we have a, you know, pretty structured style. We have very high standards of the types of furniture we'll pick. And so, you know, teaching, okay, you know, that's a whole different set of operating procedures, right? Like
Right.
here are our 10 most common vendors we source from, and here are 50 more that we really like to add in as little details. And then here's 100 more that you might find on a whim to add that special touch. And so like communicating that and having someone explore, you know, 10,000 different options.
Yeah.
That was probably a lot to try and feed, but yeah, we kind of had a strategy for that as well. So it's been great so far in terms of like the things that we would expect a junior designer to do, and then the things that we've been able to, you know, have him achieve for our different projects it's been in alignment with that.
That's great. Now, the thing is, you're both East Coast time, and that makes the Philippines is what, 5 hours behind or below? I don't know where the heck it is.
I'm Central, and they're 11 hours ahead.
Yeah,
11.
I think they're
So
10,
10
10 or 12. Yeah,
Oh, it's
10.
long.
No, I'm sorry, 13. I think it's 13. Like if it's 9 a.m. for me, it's like 10 p.m.
Okay. And so
I think it's 12. Is that right? 12 for Eastern?
Yeah, it's right around 12. I mean, it's same as when I talk to my family in Australia. So it depends on daylight savings time, but yeah, it's around 12.
And this is the dumbest question ever, but the same direction like to Australia? Just like
yes.
Okay. So that's interesting. So you have this built-in, you know, adult lifetime of making an adjustment for a 12-hour time zone, and it happens to be the same adjustment. That's pretty crazy.
It's very cool. And I mean, one of the biggest pros, especially in those first couple of weeks, is that I am a morning person. Like if I can work from 5 a.m. until 8 a.m., especially in the holidays before my kids get up, that is my brain is on fire. My ideas are amazing. And so I was training with him at like 5 a.m. my time.
Yeah.
That crossover time we were training, and I was just like inspired and excited. Yeah. So it was, the time difference really worked in our favor, especially in the beginning.
So now that's you personally one-to-one, but Corri, you don't, you know, have family in Australia. So like, how does that is the one thing that when I have met people live throughout the country since I've done the interview with Reed, where they're like, yeah, the time zone thing. Like if I need something now, I need something now. And that strikes me as less process driven, quite frankly. It strikes me as less prepared to be able to say on Monday, here's the work that I need done by whether it's Wednesday or Friday, and giving enough structure so that somebody can go do the work. But you still do have that communication level. So is it all email? Did you either of you pick up Voxer with your VA? Like, what are your WhatsApp? What are you doing with that? And how about like one-on-one for you, Corri, but also you, Kylie, with if your lead designers need to speak, how is it working?
My VA works the same hours that I do.
Oh, so regardless of the time zone, your VA is
Yeah.
willing to work on your times.
Yeah, and I've offered, hey, I'm okay not to do that. We can do an overlap because I want her to have a great quality of life.
Yeah.
And she's like, nope. Like, I'm good. I'm great with this. And actually my first VA, same thing.
So if you wanted somebody in your time zone to work 9 to 5, for her, she's basically working 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. or whatever it is.
Working nights. So mine is 8 to 4.
And
that's
so
interesting because ours is the same. I mean, when we went from 20 hours a week to 40 hours a week, I said, do you want to switch the time up so that it can be, because we'll still have some overlap, but you don't have to be up from like all night long. And yeah, Nathan was the same way. So he signs on at 7 a.m. our time. And so it's great because like if my team will give information to him in the morning or, days before that they need, but they know like they can do a Zoom meeting at like 9 or 10 a.m. in the morning and still touch base later in the day, even if they need to before.
Okay.
So
we do a team meeting every Monday. I have a local assistant who works with me here in Nashville. And so the three of us get on a call at the beginning of the week. And, I think the nice thing there is it feels like more of a team, It doesn't feel like I'm just handing things off.
Yeah,
it doesn't feel so transactional.
Yes. Yeah.
But I do think it's got to be a little tough to be up all night. But I guess if you're on that schedule, it's just how the job is structured.
Yeah. Well, and you know what? It's funny because my uncle, who is my audio editor, he works 10 o'clock at night till 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the morning. And, he's 77 years old and he's done it for his entire adult life, and now he works for himself. He doesn't have another job, but that's his preference, right? So there are people that are just wired that way and that's how they function. And I don't know, it's crazy.
My husband, he thrives on, if he could work all night, he would love it. Yeah. And then sleep until noon. That would be perfect.
Yeah. Entertainment business. My uncle is same entertainment business, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's actually not been a problem. I wonder if that's typical of most of them, or is that just a wild coincidence of your two or three? You've had two, and so, or you've had three, Corri.
Well, my second was I started her part-time, and so we were doing more of like it was same thing. Like she only worked until noon, so she started a little bit earlier. Mm-hmm. It was shifted a little bit, but much like Kylie's, where she would be on a little bit earlier, and then we had the hours. So I think I remember reading something in the documentation that they would maybe work until 2 p.m. or something like that. Yeah. But I've offered, and each of them has been like, nope, I would like to work the same hours that you are.
Okay, perfect. Okay, now, what did I not ask that each of you are sitting there thinking, well, here's the thing that I would tell a designer if I was sitting across the table, like a positive, a watch out for, a question to ask, a thing, anything come to mind? Because my goal was to show how two completely different firms could use the same resource to their extreme benefit, not just like, okay, that was good. And I feel like I've accomplished that, but I'm curious, what do I not know that I don't know that maybe one of you would bring out? Anything come to mind?
Well, I would say recently, especially, we have a CAD manual that we use internally. And so I gave that CAD manual to Nathan and was like, take a look at this and see what you think. And instantly, again, like when Corri and I were first talking about this, I was like, I don't know if I got a unicorn. Like, how did this happen? But pretty instantly, he was able to interpret our CAD manual and start doing our documentation the exact same way. But recently I was we're doing a large scale renovation. I was like, I don't really love how our demo plan looks. And so I just shot it over to him and I was like, how would you do this demo plan if you were doing it in your, like the way you learned and you did it? And so he, took a stab at it. I like it way better. We're going to incorporate that into the way we do demo plans specifically, because I just think it's better, cleaner, easier to understand. And that was pretty cool.
Oh, that is awesome, right?
Mhm.
It really is. Well, that's what they say. It's you're not getting, like the VA agency that I use is Valitam. And I learned of Valitam from one of my chairman of the board clients like 5 years ago. And Shira had a Valitam VA for personal because she's a single mom. So it's like just manage the dentist and the school pickups and get us both, make sure my calendar's right. But then she had a separate Valitam that she used in her design firm. And, she taught the VA what to do in the design firm. And so it's like to be able to, like, to me, I know it can be done, but then when you think about this level of experience and expertise coming at it, where you can go to your VA and be like, would you do it better or different? You know what I mean? Like, that's crazy, right? Like, who would think that? So I like that. That's awesome. It's something that you could say, you could do, Corri. Like, I
Yeah.
don't really have a documentation for this. What would you do? How have you
Yeah,
done
I
it in
would.
the
It's a
past?
couple of things. On a more personal level, for anyone running a solo operation, I think the big thing here is thinking about what only you can do and then categorizing everything else
Yep.
and being very clear about what you want someone to do. I come from a very collaborative background, and it was intimidating for me to be a boss, to tell someone what to do. And that has really been a journey for me, because it will create chaos if someone's like, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yes.
So that's the first part. Is I think that through this journey of having a couple of VAs and where I am now versus where I was last year, the thing that really does make it feel like relief is everyone knows what they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
But the second piece of that is, if you can do that, then I would say don't be intimidated to make the call, even if you don't have the systems in place yet. As long as you know what you need from someone, even if that is everything.
Yeah.
And that's okay, as long as you know, well, everything for this deliverable I want it to be like this.
Yeah.
I think it's important to sort of sit with that. It doesn't have to be a fully built out system, but being clear about what you need someone to do from point A to point B, so that they can really own it. But that aside, I think that Design Assist, it's really incredible how you can go from having no one to having my current VA is a licensed architect and a master plumber. And that's where I'm like, okay, it's not just someone who can do what I shouldn't be doing. It's someone who can level up from where I was doing it.
Right. Right.
Like I'm very visual, love to show visuals. So, and a lot of construction documentation, but there's someone who can do it better than me. And it's also not the best use of my time.
Right.
So it's incredible to have someone with the background and the education and the experience that you can have even on these small teams. It's crazy. I'm taking my new VA and saying, hey, go do an audit of our deliverables for this project, find the gaps, like level this up, and here's how we do it. But if you see a way to improve this, hit me. Let's do it.
That's what I love. I mean, it's why I knew when I first interviewed Reed and both of you were in the boat that you were in, even though they were completely different boats and completely different oceans. I'm like, I think this is the same answer. Like, you know what I'm saying?
They really make it easy.
Yeah. Yeah. And I just love that both aspects of it. Like, I know enough to be dangerous. What can you help me do? And I know everything I'm doing, come step in my team and do it with me. And then I also love, Kylie, I didn't know that part, where you're, what's your perspective on this? The whole, like, I can always learn something regardless of how established and how process driven I am, right? There's always, and you know what? There was every possibility that the VA, that Nathan would have come back and you would have went, I don't like that better. But that's okay, right? It was another perspective, right? It would have been fine. It would have been totally fine. So I just think that this is awesome. I feel like, too, I know, Kylie, at one point you and I were having a conversation. This goes back to like last fall. And it was that I think at your level, some of the what I've watched you have a little bump in the road with, and I know I've experienced it myself in growing the business, is that wait, that who else can do this moment, right? Because you're already delegating a lot with the defined roles. But I don't know if you remember, and I won't go into the detail of it, but there was a moment when you were thinking about having another employee back into the mix and this and that. And it was like, well, this was the role that we used to have. And this was a role we had. We're going to have it again. And I remember pushing you out of your box. And I was like, right. But what if this wasn't by your side person? We created that role between you and the team, and we took the management of this stuff off your plate. And I
Yeah.
think you've ultimately changed it again. But the idea is that when we grow our companies, we have to be on the watch out for not just the way we've always done it, right?
Yeah,
It's like,
totally.
yeah,
That's what there's really, I mean, I was just thinking about that because, in my mind, the handoff was very easy in this case because the result was immediate and
yeah,
it was exactly to the standards that we needed it to be at. And I mean, even until very recently, I'm kind of thinking through the list of other things that I need help with, like inbox management and, just some of the things that feel overwhelming on a day-to-day level, then I'm like, well, you could never ever outsource that to someone virtually. And then you're like, but couldn't you, like,
I don't know,
so
girl.
I think it just opens up the opportunity. And I love the way of thinking about, what are they, with any of our employees is like, what are things that you think we should do better or a different way? And I say this a lot to my team. I'm like, just pitch me on it,
Yes.
And we're
Yes.
having a pitch session tomorrow because my team wants a summer intern. And I'm like, I cannot possibly manage a summer intern. And they're like, you don't
We're
have
not
to manage
asking you
them.
to.
Yeah. So I was like, well, then pitch me on
Part
it,
of this is about you.
Yeah, exactly. So, I think that's just like a really great thing to remember when you're working with these firms is that like we're hiring them maybe for a very specific task, but there will be other things out there that they'll teach us and help us learn, which is
Yeah.
like just amazing.
Well, and even just that, Corri, right? Hearing her like, we're having a pitch session tomorrow. How cool is that, right?
I
It's
love
like,
it. I love it so. And you're like, we have a team that has a team.
yeah,
Okay,
it's
like
but I mean,
this is
it's
amazing.
like, to me, it's like, and Corri, you have an excellent team. So when they listen to you on this podcast, this is not a reflection on them, but it's like, there's a version of that is like, the animals are the zookeeper. And it's like, well, no, Corey's saying, hey, you guys all have an idea and you think it's a great one, then collate your thoughts, get your pros and cons, and pitch me and make me believe it. And if at the end I believe it, then great, we might do it. And if I don't, then it's not like the grumblings of, we should have an intern. I don't know what it means. Like, because an employee doesn't always understand all the ramifications of what it means. They understand how it will help them. But I love that mechanism of the pitch session because hopefully if they're smart, they're making their list of pros and cons and they're doing their justification, right? And then
literally one of my designers said she's been working on it after hours, and so then like not only do they want this, they believe in it,
yeah.
which
Oh,
I mean
wow.
that's very cool.
Wait, is this a formal like PowerPoint pitch session
I
type
don't
of
know.
thing?
I'll tell you tomorrow. I kind of hope so.
That's funny, right? But that she's working on it on after hours.
Yeah,
it's pretty funny. Yeah. No,
that's a good employee right there.
Yeah,
right? Yes.
right?
Yeah.
No, she is a good team. She is a good team. They're
We do for sure. We do.
Yeah, I haven't met them, but she speaks of them highly always. You know what I mean? And she's always
we're very fortunate. I'm very
Yeah.
very
Well,
happy.
I am looking to you, and it's goal. Like I said, it's like where I want to be, where
Yeah.
I am very excited about my little team of 3, and I just feel like they are wonderful. And I'm about this close to wanting to hire another part-time VA from Design Assist because it's been that, it's been such a great level of support where I have my one VA on such a, there's so much work for her right now that I'm like, oh, I could see where there is actually a slightly different lane for someone else part-time.
Yeah. Okay. And then Kylie, before we go, I just would like, it's funny because it's a couple of times Corri has said, like, she wants to be you when she grows up, right? You're probably similar ages, but, like in her
We,
design business, right?
yes.
Take me back to 10 and a half years ago, listening to the podcast. Would you say that you were 80% cooked at that point, 20% cooked, 50% cooked? Like the trajectory of yourself as a firm leader and owner? I imagine there's some real growth there in as far as your design as well. But from a business owner, what would you say? Because I've not asked you that, like that growth of 10 years ago to today.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's funny because when Corey just referred to like the three of us, like when it started out, like the first person I hired was a bookkeeper and then an assistant. And now she's, a designer in her own right, but she's been with me like the whole time. And I really thought in the beginning, it'll just be like the three of us. Like we'll just kind of kick it around and do beautiful designs and it'll be fun and we'll have a great lifestyle. And then my problem is that I'm insanely competitive. So if I see like an amazing project I can go for, then I'm going to go for it. And then when you go for it and win it, then you need a bigger team. So, I think that that's just kind of been like the way that I approach things my whole life. I think it's kind of built into my personality. And
I can appreciate that very
I
much.
I know you can. And so there's pros and cons, obviously, to being super competitive. Like you don't know when to say no and you don't know when to tone it down and all that fun stuff. But I'm still growing as a human. But I would say like, I knew that I wanted to have a successful business. I didn't really have this strategy of I wanted to have this kind of profitability, this much revenue, or this many team members.
Mm-hmm.
But I just knew that I wanted to run a really successful business and have incredible designs.
Mm-hmm.
And so, if that was like my original vision, it just kept growing from there because like, the bigger the opportunities, the more impact you could have on the design side and and the more profitable you can be. So,
Yeah.
And I think
How?
like part of it was just as well knowing, I had come from another career and I had worked for another firm as well. And so I was like, I am too old to do this a slow way. Like I've been listening to Luann on like nonstop for 2 years now, and I'm hiring a business coach and we are just going straight for, because
Yeah.
I didn't feel like I had time to learn everything the hard way. I just wanted like more input, more feedback, more results.
Yeah.
And
I mean, that's of note. The 8 years, she's always had some sort of business coach or whatever in her ear. I wasn't the one at her 2 year in. I'm the one this year, right?
yeah.
Now, one other thing, Corri, because Kylie, because we have you here as that, looking back in that career, working for another designer, then building your own firm, and really, yes, the answer to the competitiveness, the answer to, well, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it well, which is going to require me more people. But is there anything that you could just share as a hindsight observation, whether it's to Corri or to like, and even how about to Corri? Because Corri is very much like you. She's got all of the foundational chops and grit. And now she's just combining and gathering business and design experience to put on top of it. Okay. So what's a watch out for her, like, or a learning lesson for you, like this was a like I can tell you, and I'm not going to go into it because I want your answer, but like having run window works with Vinny for 35 years and then running this business, I had two very specific oh like, oh, that's a thing that you took for granted, that it was what he did in his lane and you don't have to do it. Or another thing was like, oh, there were built-in mechanisms at WindowWorks that counteracted my scatterbrain. And so then getting my own business organized so that I could be successful and be creative and be visionary, but also get it done. So those are two specific things that were surprises to me, even at 35 years in. So, is there anything that comes to mind that you would say about running a team or being a CEO or leveling up from projects, something that surprised you from this kind of what the expectations were to here, any area of business?
Yeah, I mean, I would say probably leaning into your gut instinct. I mean, I know Luann's a big believer in that. I also can get pretty woo-woo. So when I feel like the planets are aligning for a reason and I'm seeing those signs, I try and lean into it. I think there's just alignments that happen because you're on the right path and you
Mm-hmm.
feel them, and then you're like, okay, I'm being pushed in this direction. And I would say, like, the flip side of that is like when you're like us, you have to be careful about burnout because we'll go until we can't go anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So there's definitely times where you have to lean into like figuring out how to pull back. And usually that's been by adding, more support or more team members, or,
Mm-hmm.
even support on the personal side. Like, what does
Mm-hmm.
that look like? So I'd say like those are probably the big factors that I've looked for. And then, I've also had coaches give me feedback where they're like, well, we think you should do it this way. And I'm like, I don't know, that just doesn't feel right to me. And it wasn't Luann, but Luann and I've had this conversation many times where I'm like, if it just doesn't feel right, like, I don't think I'm going to go there. I'm going to lean
Yeah.
into this. And for me, that seems like it's working out okay. So
Yeah.
I think just trusting like your gut and really just sitting back and listening to like what you feel like is the right decision. For me, that usually plays out even on the design side. I'm like, oh, would I want this in my home to look this way? Like I really lean into that a lot.
Yeah.
But
No,
I
I
would say
love
like
that.
building the team too, like
Yeah.
knowing the things that you don't know. That's why the first person I hired was a bookkeeper. Like, I'm
Mm.
very conservative and I'm very financially savvy, but I don't want to run numbers all day and I did not want to send out invoices. And
Yeah.
so I was like, a bookkeeper's number one. And then once I realized I needed actual design assistance, like knowing, okay, I can build that. And then I'd say like the last part of it is, even if you are really good at something, like for example, if like I love doing drawings, I love being in AutoCAD. That's something that Luann pushes me back on all the time. But is that the best use of your time today?
Yeah.
Like,
We're like the same person. Like inside of
I
my head. It's crazy. Like everything you're saying, I'm like, is she reading my mind?
yes.
Like,
See, it's
like
awesome. I just need to come to
I
Nashville.
love
We'll
that.
hang out for a while
We
and
need to hang out,
solve
Kylie.
some
You
problems.
too, Luann. Come on.
Yes.
Party in Nashville.
I know. No, it's true. And I appreciate everything that you said. And it's funny because I was had a chairman of the board session this morning, and I literally said, I believe this is a step for you to take. I believe this is the path for you to do. I said, but you need to tell me now in this call if it doesn't feel right for you. Because if it doesn't feel right for you all day long, you're not going to do it. And you over there pretending you're doing it and getting it done, and it's a little hard and I've got to stumble. And I'm over here thinking I just got to push you to do it. But if you are getting a hard no somewhere in your body, then I got to find a way around it for you. I got to find another way for us to get there. Because if I don't have buy-in, if we as humans don't have buy-in with the path to our goal, the right quote unquote way by any coach or mentor is not going to be the way. And so I love that. I love that. There is there are certain business principles and practices. There is a right way, but I guarantee you there's always another way to get to the right way. And we're not going to do the hard things in a way that doesn't feel good for us. So I love that, you're saying, listen to yourself and listen to your inside voice. And, I feel like, when things are lining up, it's pedal to the metal. The universe is cooking. Let's go.
Mhm.
So
Both of you are just inspiring, just so that
yeah.
you know. I mean, I feel like you both are just so intelligent, but not only that, very real.
Mm.
And I feel like those things combined, just when you feel like you're talking to a real person who's had these experiences and giving this kind of advice, it's just invaluable.
Yeah, awesome. Awesome. Well, you're two of my favorite humans on the planet. You know that. So I appreciate your being here today. I appreciate your sharing your experiences about Design Assist, because I really do believe almost any firm on the planet could figure out a way to get their stuff done easier, faster, quicker, with less headaches if they have qualified support. So thank you so much for being here, ladies.
Thanks, Luann.
Thank you. So fun.
This conversation was a long time coming, at least for Kylie, and I'm so glad we finally made it happen, Kylie. What I love most about today is that you got to see the same solution work in two completely different businesses who are at two completely different stages of business. And that was the whole point. You know, I hear it all the time. You know, I'm not ready to hire. I know I need to, but I don't have my systems built out. I'm too new. I'm too small. And then I hear from the other side, we're too busy. I've got too many projects going on. Adding someone new is too complicated right now. And, you know, Corri and Kylie just literally ignored each of these, excuses and worked through it and made it happen. Corri came into the interior design industry 18 months ago. And boy, oh boy, she did not tiptoe in. She walked in with her decades of professional experience, a network, and a work ethic forged in an industry where 9 no's come before you hear any yeses. She hit a capacity ceiling almost immediately. So much opportunity, not enough hours, doing everything herself. And the moment she felt it, she's saying to me, help. And I'm like, yes, let's get help. We don't say no. We don't say no when the phone is ringing. Let's figure it out. So the solution wasn't to turn away the work. It was to get that help. Now, that didn't mean it was smooth, right? She had a bump in the road with that first VA. And that can happen to any one of us with any hire anywhere, in person or remote. But Corri did not spiral. She went back to Design Assist, had 3 candidates within 30 minutes, interviewed, onboarded, and used the whole experience to tighten up her own onboarding process, creating that folder with her standards and her deliverables in it. She came out of it better than when she went in. And the lesson underneath that is you don't need a fully built out system to bring on a hire. You just need to know what you need someone to do from point A to point B. Start there. Documenting the systems comes with time. And I always say, have that person do it for you, right? Now, Kylie, many, many years into building and competing and growing, always with some version of a coach or mentor in her corner. That's what I've loved about Corri and her journey. Always pushing herself to the next level to be a better leader, okay? She came into not only my chairman of the board program, but into this new hire with Design Assist with documented SOPs, a full team, architectural level drawing standards, and a clear job description ready to hand to Design Assist. And you know what? The moment her team felt the pressure of too much work and not enough hands, she made the call. And here's what I love. She made it work by investing real time up front, carving out time during that holiday break, running focus sessions that first week, giving Nathan the chance to know her and the company before the rest of the team came back to work in January. That's why I think that Nathan had the buy-in fast. He wasn't a contractor just doing tasks. He was part of something. Imagine coming into a well-established team. They're all in Tampa and you're not. That's got to be daunting. But the leader in Kylie, think about that. Think about the genius of that, spending that time and making sure he understood why he was needed, how he was needed, and giving him the tools and the tasks and the time to get to know her, to ask for clarity on it. That extra percent is the thing that helps you get the extra percent out of a good employee, all right? And then because this established, rapport is there, when Nathan pushed back on a demo plan and a different approach, Kylie looked at it and said, I like that better. Let's do it that way now. Okay? So that's what happens when you bring in qualified support instead of order takers. You don't just get tasks done, you get better at what you do. So here's what I want you to take away. Figure out only what you can do, then categorize everything else. I say a version of this over and over and over throughout the years. The $10 job, the $10 an hour job, the $100 an hour job, the $1,000 an hour job, the $10,000 an hour job. Your job is to get yourself into the work that only you can do and get qualified people doing the rest. That is not a luxury. That's how you build a sustainable business that you can take breaks from and that you can ultimately sell because it's systemized, right? And I just have loved having Design Assist as a sponsor. From that very first conversation with Reed Humphrey, I immediately thought of every designer I have ever worked with who is stuck exactly where these two ladies were stuck and everywhere in between. The Design Assist VAs come in with 4-year degrees in design or architecture and 4 years minimum of real-life, on-the-ground experience. They are not order takers. They are professionals. Whether you are a solo designer who needs something off your plate or everything off your plate, or you're an established firm looking to add a qualified junior designer without a full-time hire, this is worth a serious look. Go check them out at designassist.com/Luann. That's design, DEZIGN, assist.com/Luann. Now, if you're listening in real time, Las Vegas Market is around the corner, and I will be on Monday of Las Vegas Market at the Alder and Tweed showroom. That's different from Reed's Interior Design Firm. There's the Alder and Tweed furniture showroom. Different family members own it. Lots of smart people in the Humphrey family. And I will be there practically the whole day. We've got a panel discussion happening at 11 o'clock in the morning, and then they're going to put out a beautiful lunch for everybody. And then at 1 o'clock, we're going to do some Q&A on the Design Assist, on how they can help you in your business, the type of jobs. Like literally you can say, can I give them this kind of task? Can I give them that kind of project? Can I do this? And we're going to get to the bottom of it for you. So please follow me on Instagram, or if you're on my email list, we will be sending out the different things that I'm going to be doing at Las Vegas Market. Right now, I'm talking about summer 2026. All righty. Corri and Kylie, thank you so much for being here today. It's been my pleasure working with you in the Chairman of the Board program. We are almost at the finish line for the two of you, and having you here is just the icing on the cake. Corri and Kylie, thank you so much for being here today. It's been my pleasure working with the both of you in the Chairman of the Board, and I look forward to finishing out the year with the two of you. And Corri, keep up that good work, that hard hustle. And Kylie, I want to hear how that intern pitch session went on our next meeting. All right. Thank you tons for joining me today, and thank you Design Assist for sponsoring the podcast. Decide to be excellent. Thank you for joining me today. This podcast is a production of Luann Nigara, Inc. If you want to know more about me, my books, or Luann University, go to luannnigara.com. And if you are interested in having WindowWorks help you with your next window treatment or awning project in the New York, New Jersey metro area, go to windowworksnj.com to learn more. Have an excellent day.